Bernie Madoff. In the news again, looks like final payment is coming to the victims, totaling 131 million. Put them up full mass. You remember this? This is called privilege. This individual was able to do the unthinkable. So a fund dispersing money to the victims of Bernie Madoff and his massive Ponzi scheme began its final distribution yesterday. A reminder of the Ponzi scheme. It works by paying off older investors with the cash from new investors. Instead of investing the money and distributing the returns, in order for that Ponzi scheme to continue, he has to find a sucker every week. And that was the scheme. 23,000 victims worldwide are receiving payments, bringing their total recoveries to 94% of their losses. Most of these victims were small investors who lost less than $500,000 in the fraud, according to federal prosecutors. Since the collapse of Madoff's investment house and his 2009 guilty plea, the Madoff Victim Fund has paid more than $4 billion to nearly 41,000 victims in 127 countries. For decades, Madoff used the investment advisory business he founded in 1960. Do you understand how long he did this? 1960, to steal billions from his clients, turning his wealth management firm into the world's largest Ponzi scheme to benefit himself, his family, and select members of his inner circle. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison, where he died in 2021. A reminder of his victims. The MVF says on its webpage that many accounts of Madoff's crimes assume incorrectly that the majority of his victims, quote, were large institutions and high net worth individuals. However, most of the victims were actually small investors with losses averaging roughly $250,000, according to the website. The fallout from Madoff's fraud extended beyond financial devastation. At least 4 have been linked to the scandal, including the death of Madoff's eldest son, Mark, who took his own life. Madoff's younger son, Andrew, who died of mantle cell lymphoma in 2014, believed the stress caused by his father's crimes contributed to the return of his illness. The love of money. He ripped off anyone he could when you look at the record, and had been doing it for such a long time. That was the nature of the business. It wasn't as if he took some money and did wrong with it. He took all money and did wrong with the money. He did what was illegal, unethical, and immoral. The Ponzi scheme falls apart when you cannot get a fresh batch of manipulated individuals to contribute, because the only way he's paying off the debt is by bringing in new folks to give him right now money to pay yesterday's money. So that started to fail. But the fact that he got away with it for so long without any question is indicative of societal bias, because the reports he showed were false, that they were made up. Nobody decided to simply look under the hood. They just accepted it is what it is. But as soon as anyone peeked, they saw something wasn't right. Every now and then a person would complain. And when they complained, they got special treatment, because he knew if this person complained to an actual board, he would have problems. So he took care of them. But these were one-offs during the entire scheme. Sharon, when you look at this story and understand the level of deceit involved, and then also the time frame, the longevity of this scheme, you sit back, you say, oh my goodness, how could one person get away with doing this for so long? Well, it wasn't just him, but he was definitely the main one. and others started to understand the conspiracy that were close to him and family, and they got in on it too. What say you?
He played right in their faces, but because he looked
Yeah.
the part of American white privilege, nobody bothered to even open their eyes. Let's just say open their eyes, not even look under the hood. While people are busy harassing the Freedom Fund founders and doing stop and frisk, they're ignoring this crime that destroyed. I'm so glad you mentioned that everyday people, teachers, and people who had blue collar positions who worked for every penny. He destroyed their lives and that of his own son, who took his own life.
Yeah. It's so sad because these individuals had the smarts, they had the training and opportunity to do right by all of those individuals, and they decided to take another course, and disaster strikes. I'm really glad that the victims, especially those that were that gave their life savings to this man, I'm glad that they will have some level of compensation.